My name is Sean Evans of Montcalm County, Michigan. To all citizens of the state of Michigan, I have a story to tell, and I would like honest feedback regarding the morality, ethics, truth, honor, and justice of what unfolded within the legal system of Montcalm County, Michigan. This is the story of my Michigan legal right, since 2008, to the medical use of cannabis. I took a plea deal, because my attorney was not replaced by the court, with the condition that it would not cost me more than $1,000 in total. That was the case, until several months after my plea agreement, when the court decided to impose $3,000 in additional fees, without my input at all. I relied on the court and judge, when they stated that an attorney would be provided to me at no cost. This was not stated just once, but several times, by Judge Krieger. I would never have accepted legal counsel, had I known all I was to pay the bills that I could not afford. The court materially misrepresented that fact, to make me rely on accepting a service that I would not have otherwise accepted, then later, without any input from me at all, ordered me to pay $3,000 more in legal fees. That is fraud when anyone else does that. Any fees imposed like that, through any other channel, is illegal, and those fees are not enforceable. So how can a court, and our legal system do it? Should not the legal system, and court, set a good and legal example, without fraud being involved? My alleged crime was growing some cannabis plants, and being caught with several pounds of mostly shake leaves from the cannabis plant, without having a signed doctor's recommendation for cannabis, despite years of documentation, and surgery for chronic pain. That amount of shake seemed to horrify the court. That seemed like a lot of cannabis, I bet. Anyone who thinks that is ignorant regarding the subject, and should really take the time to educate themselves. That was about a 1-month supply of oil. 1 month. How many months does it take to grow cannabis? If you answered, more than a month, you are right. Are people having a month of medicine on hand unusual, in any way? If you answered that question with a no, then what was the big deal exactly? Specifically, a helicopter had to invade my privacy. Police removed me from my bed, in my own house. I was told my kids were going to be taken away. I was arrested, and forced to endure pain and opiate withdrawal. When I complained in jail of the pain, they literally dragged me to a loud drunk cell, so no one would hear my suffering. I fainted and cracked 2 front teeth, that resulted in me having to get a partial. I was forced to exceed my doctor's medical recommendations by the police. I was held in jail for over 26 hours. I was tortured in ways that I hope I never have to endure again. My property was stolen by the police. If I did to any other person what the police did to me that day, I would be in jail for many, many years, I would imagine. Yet, I can't even get footage showing that torture, because according to the Freedom of Information Act notice I received, that would compromise security and privacy. According to what was told to the court, it was because they have no footage from my time in jail. Which one is it? It is as almost like someone is embarrassed by the way they treated a disabled person, and don't want anyone to see those 26 hours. That was an actual crime. I now wear an upper bridge because of that day. I could just have had a court summons issued, but the police chose to arrest a disabled person, from his own bed. Exactly what harm to society was I placing anyone in, that warranted such an arrest? The court forced me to take deadly addicting opiates, which are killing tens of thousands of people yearly, for my chronic pain of 6 years, against my sincerely held beliefs, legal, and medical rights, for almost a year. Think about that. I was court-ordered to consume a deadly product, which is highly addictive, and is killing tens of thousands of American citizens every single year, and ordered, not, to use a product, that got me off of those deadly opiates, that does not leave one in withdrawal for 6 weeks. In fact, there is little to no withdrawal, and there has never been one known overdose in all of history, and, it works much better for the pain. Please, specifically explain, what compelling government interest is there to force a deadly medical product upon a citizen, against their sincerely held beliefs, legal, and medical rights, in lieu of one that was sanctioned by the people of Michigan that does not kill? One that the people had to take matters in their own hands, because they were tired of the lies, by that very same government. That very same government, who states there is no medically acceptable use for cannabis, yet holds the patent on its medical use. Whom I am to believe, the government, or what I have witnessed firsthand, and all the documentation that states otherwise, from around the world? Do I believe the government, when they say CBD oil does not stop seizures, when you can see the videos with your own eyes? Children who used all available pharmaceuticals, that would still suffer hundreds of seizures a month, but when they are able to use CBD oil, they only have a couple of seizures a month. If you had a child like that, what would you do? Let them suffer because it's the law. A law that does significantly more harm to society than any benefit. A law that the majority of people disagree with, and are demanding change, mostly through ballot initiatives, because our politicians refuse to address the problem with this prohibition, and the laws. So, the people, who this government is supposed to represent, must force that change upon that very same government. Think about that. It would seem. The only people who mainly want to keep cannabis illegal, is the government and legal system. Why do you suppose that is? Could it be just about money? I could not find legal representation for less than $15,000. Got a paid-off boat, car, or something else of high value. We will take that in a trade, to represent you. One quote I received, was more than what I bring in for an entire year. I was offered $5,000 to come up with a plea deal. One that literally took me less than 10 minutes to agree to. Not to mention, all the other fines the court imposes. Clearly, that system, is not for the benefit of the people, for whom this government represents. This amounts to nothing more than legal extortion. Mob tactics, but legal. Everyone who supports this system should be so very proud of themselves. Yes, for the record, that was sarcasm. I am an INTJ personality type. Don't know what that is? You should look it up. In short, I despise dishonesty and have no problem calling out social conventions, and laws that are stupid. When I see a steaming pile of excrement, I call it for what it is. Honesty is always the best policy. I was not part of a SWAT team that deleted all the physical evidence that would contradict the defense claims made in court, helicopter altimeter logs, pictures, video, which then only relied on the verbal testimony of two officers, one which was new, and testified he did not know of all the proper procedures, yet somehow managed to follow every one of those procedures to the legal requirements, and was under pressure to not let the defendant get the charges dismissed on his first drug arrest case. The other, which would get in trouble for breaking aviation height operational regulations. How many times has video and other evidence contradicted the verbal testimony of officers? The only reason to delete evidence is that it contradicts the narrative that you are trying to sell, for if it supported your narrative, you would present it to the court. Why was this vital evidence not provided to the defense? Not a clear-cut case of evidence tampering and legal misconduct that none of my defense attorneys would bring up. Evidence tampering is against the law, so why did the court allow it? I did not have to lie on the search warrant to get a judge to sign off on it. Every single reason stated was found not to be truthful, and that I only had cannabis for medical use, which was left off the search warrant request. Why was that vital information left off the search warrant request, when they knew that information? Who had more motive to lie, or mislead the court? What exactly have I lied about, and what would be the motive be, compared to the motive outlined above? It was testified, including a video made at the time, that the helicopter was below 500 feet by a hunter who distance shoots, a military veteran, my wife and myself. The pilot even testified he may have gone as low as 400 feet from the ground, with up to a 50-foot deviation, which could put him as low as 350 feet by his own testimony. Aviation operational requirements require helicopters to be at least 500 feet above not the ground, but any obstacles in the area. That means the pilot testified under oath that he was at times at least 150 feet to 200 feet under the aviation operational regulations. Admitting flying below aviation operational requirements in court would have led to sanctions on his part, a very good motive to mislead the court, which he was obviously successful in doing. You must look very closely at his wording within the testimony, but it is clear he misleads the court. Should not a pilot know aviation operational requirements, and have to adhere to them? I only did not have a signed piece of paper from a physician recommending cannabis for my severe chronic pain. The pilot put people's lives at risk, since if there were to be a mechanical emergency, there would not have been time to react from the height he was at, thus the operational requirements, and the helicopter could have landed on power lines, buildings, and my kids. A clear violation, all right there in the court record, that the judge ruled the pilot did not violate the height operational requirements of the helicopter. Both the pilot witness and arresting officer testified under oath that they deleted key evidence vital to the defense. I believe I did nothing wrong outside the MMMA of 2008 law. Where is my motive to lie or mislead the court? Am I lying about my time in jail? Let's get that video and see if I am the one lying to the court. If witnesses perjured themselves, should not the court do something about it? Is there any evidence of bias in our legal system when it comes to cannabis? That would be an obvious yes. There is a negative bias toward cannabis in our legal system, further showing motive. Everyone on the prosecution had the motive to mislead the court, but there was no motive by the defense. Why did my defense attorneys refuse to bring this matter up before the court? There is plenty of evidence of legal misconduct. Check the court records to confirm my testimony before you today. The court obviously did not catch the pilot's testimony of being less than 500 above the ground. All right there, in the court record, contradicting the court ruling on the matter, that the pilot did not break any aviation rules. Why did my court-ordered defense attorneys not bring that up when I asked them to? This system was forced upon me. I did not create it, or choose to participate in it. Not only would none of my defense attorneys bring up the above concerns, but they also would not get back and communicate with me at all, which is a violation of the Michigan Bar Rules of Professional Conduct. Yet this court wants to force me to pay for their professional services rendered. Services that I was tricked into accepting, because I thought I qualified for free legal counsel, because of my income. Since the court violated the condition of my plea deal, I demand my plea deal be revoked, and there be a trial by jury over the matter. I demand that the prosecution investigate my legal misconduct claims. I demand actual justice from the court. Or is there a double standard for law enforcement? Should they not also be held accountable for their actions? Since the above is never really going to happen, an expungement is my only shot at true justice. My alleged crime was growing a few cannabis plants for oil to consume, for my chronic pain. A right recognized under the MMMA 2008 law, when the people of Michigan, including myself, voted for arrest and prosecution relief from this very type of case. The courts have used wording in the law to drive a dagger through the heart and spirit of the law, protection from arrest and prosecution of the people using cannabis for medical use. That medical right is all I was doing. So, tell me, what the police did to me, what the courts did to me, and these fees that I can't afford, worth the crime that I did of trying to stay alive, without addiction, without pain. Do you think that this has been justice, and helped society? If so, please be very specific on detailing the justice, and benefit to society, and to the people of the state of Michigan. I am honestly curious. Exactly, whom did I harm, and how did I cause that harm, that warranted the police, and court response, for those actions? From my perspective, it only helped the group of people, who were prosecuting me in the first place, not the people of the state of Michigan. People who have financial difficulties, which seem to need to rely on the revenue these sham charges will produce, is a further motive. A glaring conflict of interest, I would say. What did that group attempt to get? If your answer was money, you would be correct. There was no justice. No ethical or moral high ground. People of the state of Michigan, which were taking me to court, specifically passed a law to stop such prosecution in their name. Montcalm County chose to prosecute me, not the people of the state of Michigan. Only one party had anything to gain from this farce, and every single one of them, including the prosecution, plaintiff witnesses, and police officers, to the court, are the only ones who gained anything from this event, and that was money. What justice, exactly, did the legal system of Montcalm County deliver to the people of the state of Michigan, for cases such as mine. Let's be honest here, the fault clearly lies with the government, and the people are doing the best they can to provide relief for themselves with ballot initiatives, but there are only so much the people can do, without our representatives' help, in doing the ethical, moral, and honorable course of action. No one should be punished for not taking addictive opiate drugs, that are killing thousands, when all they wish is to live as pain-free as possible. Why is that wrong? Why should we morally comply with laws that are killing people, against the will of those very same people? History has clearly shown us that some laws should never have been passed. The courts has punished people for taking drugs, and orders them to clean up, because it recognizes the potential danger to society, yet the same courts are punishing people for trying to get off legal opiate addictive drugs that are killing many in society. The government can't have it both ways, and be taken seriously, by anyone with any form of logic abilities. The court violated the terms of my plea deal, by exceeding the $1,000 max threshold I agreed to, and by misrepresenting material facts regarding attorney fees. Not to mention the legal misconduct allegations. Thus, I demand the plea deal become void, and I demand a trial by the people of the state of Michigan, who were taking me to court. I want to explain to a jury, and have them look me in the eyes, and convict me of the 2 felony charges I was charged with, for trying not to die or become addicted to opiates, that is a current killing epidemic. These same people of the state of Michigan, who passed a law to protect medical cannabis use back in 2008. These same people of the state of Michigan, that legalized the recreational use of cannabis in November of this year. A jury of my peers, who believe in doing the moral, ethical, right, and honorable thing. I know this will not happen, so again, the only clear path for justice, is an expungement. I was always told by my grandfather before he passed, if you are not part of the solution, you are part of the problem. So, are you part of the problem, or part of the solution? I simply did not wish to continue with opiate addiction, 4+ years at the time of arrest, or die from the opiates, against my sincerely held beliefs, legal, and medical rights, and chose an option that will not kill me, or cause addiction, and works much better for the pain to get my life back. A private medical decision, that only my doctors and I, should have any input in, of which, my actions, did no harm to anyone in society. A medicine specifically sanctioned by the people of the state of Michigan, back in 2008, of which my chronic pain, since 2012, is a qualifying medical condition. Why was that wrong? More specifically, why did my actions warrant the legal response that it did, and what benefit to society justify those actions? What legal rights do the courts have to interfere in my private medical matters? Why should the court be involved in that at all? How were not my HIPAA rights violated by the legal system? According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, more than 42,000 people died from opioid-related overdoses in 2016, the year I was arrested, a 30% increase from the year before. All that was done to me and my family, for me wanting to get off addiction-killing opiates, in a drug epidemic of the government making. Think very hard about what I have stated here today, and ask yourself, was the right thing done, in this specific case, by the legal system? Clearly, this is the kind of case an expungement was meant for. Andrea Krause and Judge Grieger, do you support my expungement request? Or, can you provide any moral, ethical, honorable, legal, and the pursuit of justice reasons, why the governor should not grant this expungement request, in the name of justice itself? Wrong is wrong, no matter who performs the deed. In pursuit of justice. Sean Evans. Montcalm County, Michigan.